Hi guys, it's episode 3 on the push to 1 billion wild gold, and today we're taking advantage of supply and demand, some low prices and doing some importing and exporting, so let's get into it. So firstly, this week's TSM ledger is telling me I've made around 7.8 million gold profit. On the most sold items, you can still see some legendary stock slowly clearing out, but we are getting fairly close to having this completely cleared out now. This week, however, we have had some captured Dune Stalkers and Abyssal Fragments as my second and third biggest seller, and that is what we are going to talk about today in a little bit. A quick look at expenses, and you can see no crafting materials at all. I have now completely stopped and just, as I said, clearing out this stock. Everything on here, this is all potential flips. I bought up all these Regal Dreadbat recipes when they were underpriced when I did that video earlier in the week. I don't know what happened on the Ritualist Shoulder Scythe sale that's well below my 100k minimum price. I must have done that manually or something and messed up. But anyway, the point is that I'm not buying any more materials, no more legendary crafting. I give you the chart, graph, whatever you want to call it, and this is how supply, demand and price all interact with each other. I'm going to assume you know nothing, show you the theory and then show you some TSM data of using this all in practice. We have demand. That's how many people want to buy this thing in blue. And in green, we have the supply or the availability on the auction house. And in red, we have the price. On the far left side, we see a low population server. We see supply and demand being around the same on this certain item. So the price being somewhere fairly central and stable. We move into a high population server. Both the supply and demand has increased drastically, but the price has remained the same, as it's the difference between supply and demand that affect the price and not the sheer number of items that are available to buy or sell. Now, if we look at more realistic examples from WoW's auction house, the next section is what trade goods typically look like on low population servers. We see demand is above supply, so the price shoots up, and this is what pretty much happens on all low population realms. You can often see very small amounts of trade goods materials on the auction house. The next section is showing what frequently happens with crafted gear on high population servers. We see insane demand, but we see even higher supply in most circumstances, so prices tend to be low. And those of you that are crafters on these realms know the profit margins become wafer thin extremely quickly. So now we have seen how supply and demand can affect price, we are going to look at our target on the end here. This can be anything on the auction house, from trade goods to mounts or transmog. We just want a huge difference between supply and demand that really drives the prices down. So we're looking for oversupply, a demand that just cannot cope with that supply. You would think it would take a huge amount to upset this bounce and push the prices up or down, but it honestly doesn't really. Farmers have their favourite routes and they do them over and over and over again, and especially on lower population realms where demand is low, it doesn't take much for the difference between supply and demand to get high and prices to plummet well below anything across any other server in that region. This is my TSM history from Abyssal Fragments, an item you need to get 20 of to get a mount. Over 95% of these purchases came from one medium population German server. Like we said, the supply on this one server was just insane, well above the demand, and the price of these just dropped to well below half of the price of any other EU server. You can see here I have purchased 7,528 Abyssal Fragments for over 7 million gold, and that works out at around 930 gold each. I have so far sold nearly 2,000 for almost 6.2 million gold, and that's selling at around 3,169 gold each. If I carried on selling at the average price I have been selling them for, which is the minimum I would expect really as the price is going up if anything, then we would be looking at around 16.8 million gold profit from this investment. Let's have a look at another item. This is the captured Dune Stalkers mount, a BFA world drop mount. You can see here I have purchased 204 of these at 17.5 million gold, so that's around 86,000 gold each. And so far I've sold 40 of them for 7.4 million gold, which averages at around 185k per sale. That would equate to about 20 million gold profit if we carried on selling at this price. Now obviously by buying everything up, price will shoot up, but the supply and demand will eventually return to what it does, like it does when you reset any market on any server. So we're not selling on this server where we buy all this stuff. Next thing we are going to do is we're going to server transfer these to a central hub server, and for me that's Draenor EU. This is a long-term investment. You see, I bought most of the abyssal fragments almost a year ago. I will sell some of these on the server they came from while the price is high from the reset, and I will sell some on Draenor as well. But mostly these are something that gets added to any server transfer I do from my central hub on Draenor. That is the reason why it takes so long for these to sell. I do not do server transfers just to sell these items like the abyssal fragments or the captured Dunestalkers, but whenever I'm doing one for other reasons, I will just add these to whatever gets transferred, and it just adds a little bit to the profit. And it's not because I'm trying to necessarily sell these for more gold on different servers for higher prices. It's just usually because the sheer amount of them I have bought, I just need to sell them across multiple auction houses, or it would take many years to sell them all. Anyway, so that was a quick look at supply and demand with some importing and exporting thrown in. I think that will do us for this week. Next week, we're going to invade Russia. Thanks for watching, guys.